Hello and welcome to another episode of Sports and Songs podcast. We're your hosts, Dan and Andy. Andy, it's season 6, episode 19. How are you?
Episode 619, as Rey Mysterio would like to say. Yes.
Yes, season 6, episode 19. Some people just call it the naming convention 619. That's what it would be. It's Monday night, so we'll have a sports episode tonight. It's March 17th. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
I'll stop you right there. No offense to you and your father and your brothers.
Yes.
Us British folk aren't too proud of you Irish folks.
Yes, that's right. I remember this last year at the same time.
Yeah,
but the reason I bring it up is, what do you think of when it's St. Patrick's Day? It's NCAA bracket announcement.
Oh, I was going to say Shamrock Shakes at McDonald's.
Or green beer.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk a little NCAA today, men's basketball. Women's, I don't want to exclude them. Women's bracket has been announced as well, the 64-team field, or 68 if you want to view all those extra games and teams. But it's a fun time of the year. Everyone gets jacked up for this, whether you're young, old, male.
The office pools have begun.
It's a fun time. But we have other stuff. But let's start off with a trivia question before we get
to
trivia question. The NCAA format as we know it today with 64 teams. Generally, we won't get into the 68, but the 64 team. When did that field take place that they went to that expansion? It started back in the days. This tournament was a small 20, 30, 40, 50 team field.
16 and 32, yeah.
When did it go to 64 is the question. We'll get to the answer at the end. And hopefully it'll tie in with some of our topics here today, right?
It will. Would I lie to you?
Of course. You won't.
Girls basketball ended this weekend. Let's go over the results here real quick. West Central beats McRae. McRae, the 7th seed, makes the championship. Some nice wins.
That's fun. Fun stuff.
Providence Academy over Crosby Ironton. A lot of repeat champions here. Benilde over Marshall. Not a lot of close games either here. And Hopkins, as
upset
Clem Haskins would say, Hopkins over Maple Grove. That means it's time for the boys to take the court. Here's the brackets. A. Goodhue out of 1A is the 6th seed against Red Lake. That looks the 6-3 game down there. That last game is going to be a good one, I think. That's Red Lake. Kind of keep an eye on them. They they've got nothing to lose type teams. Kind of excited for that team to watch them play. This would be the 2A or You got them over there. You got Minnehaha Academy is the 5 seed. You got Pequot Lakes up there as the number 7 seed. So it'll be fun to watch there. Albany is your 1 seed there. 3A, Mankato East is your 1 seed. The Tino Grace Duluth game. I know it's a 2-7 game, but Tino Grace probably win, but don't count out that Duluth Denfield squad. They pesky little group. And the 4A, Shakopee Sabres a 2 seed. Cretan Durham Hall 1. I hate to play the percentages, but I think that's going to be your championship game, 1 against 2 right there. So we'll see. And also today started boys golf, girls golf, boys volleyball, and baseball all started today. The spring sports are in swing.
So when it comes to high school, this boys basketball wraps it up. This is the final 8 teams in each of the 4 classes that's still playing winter sports. And other than that, it's underway, baby.
Spring has started, and we're supposed to get snow in 2 days. So there you go. NASCAR, Josh Berry wins. This is kind of interesting here. Josh Berry with the Wood brothers, one of the original owners in NASCAR. They have like 1 car a year, and they win. So Josh Berry, underdog story. Happy for him.
Cinderella kid.
I hate to say this. I hate to bring this up. Went to high school with Taylor Swift, or the same high school as Taylor Swift. So she's now got her hands in NASCAR now. So I don't know.
Wow.
Could have been the last NASCAR race I ever watch again.
That could have been a trivia question.
No,
maybe next time.
we don't want her in our trivia. Chase Elliott was 10th, though. My boy Chase, number 10. Woo-hoo. All right. The Hassan Tigers had back-to-back shutouts to the Cubs and Dodgers as they had some exhibition games to warm up. Of course, the hometown Tigers shut them both out. Now, with that said, if you could get up at 5 o'clock in the morning our time, you could watch Major League Baseball season start, Cubs and Dodgers. Ohtani is going to be the leadoff batter. The Japanese pitcher for the Cubs is going to be the pitcher. So 2 Japanese players against each other in Japan for opening day. What a great marketing ploy.
Excellent.
All right. Iranian Mohammad Pasara is one of the biggest hockey players on earth. He's 6'9", 331 pounds.
Feel sorry for the skates.
I'm pretty sure the Dodgers are going to sign him pretty soon.
Wow.
Yeah, I said that. 6'9", 331. Oh, boy. That's like pro wrestler giant size. And he's on skates. Imagine if he puts you in the boards. Pretty sure I'm not getting up.
It's a big boy.
Well, Mets talk now. Here we go. I know this is what everybody's waiting for.
Yes.
Mets number 6 prospect. Tong hit 98.5 yesterday on the gun. Good news. I hate to say this. I hate to be sarcastic about this, but with that said, and him being that young and the way things are going, he'll have Tommy John surgery in the next 2 years. That's just, a little sarcastic, a little serious. That's just the way it is.
This is what's going to happen.
So, all right. We talked about Francisco Alvarez being out for the Mets last week. Here's their record last year when he was healthy, was 65-35. The games without him, they were 28-38. And he's going to miss 2 months this season.
Wow.
Long season, boys.
That's a good stat.
Just got to remember that. Clay Holmes was named as the starting pitcher. Now, I'm not ripping on Clay Holmes. Not a rip on him. But starting pitcher just isn't what it's what it used to be back in the day as kids. Because it all started a long time ago in the 80s and that was a big deal. That was your ace pitcher, your big dollar pitcher. But depending on how your schedule is starting up, they move guys around for rest, and you have 6 pitchers up so you don't have days off. And again, so being the opening day starter kind of loses something for me. And he's opening day starter. Big deal. But Clay Holmes, Mets fans, that's our opening day starter. Sean Manaea has resumed throwing and no longer has oblique pain today. Let's see how that goes. Let's hope he gets healthy and comes back. More baseball notes. Kevin Youkilis had 4,436 plate appearances and never swung at a 3-0 pitch.
Okay. So that's fundamental baseball.
Every now and then you get that one you just got to swing at. He never swung at a 3-0 pitch.
That's a discipline right there. So he didn't even think, he wasn't even entertaining the thought.
Nope. That bat was on the shoulder. Because he had that goofy bat stance too. He probably just didn't even do that. He just stood there.
That's interesting. Some
more interesting notes. Major League Baseball will have 2 teams playing in ballparks that seat about 11,000 fans. The A's are going to play at a 10,624 seat in Sacramento. And the Rays are going to play at Steinbrenner Field in Tampa, which holds 1126. Now, to put that in perspective, CHS Field in St. Paul, where the Saints are, holds 7,210.
Okay.
So let's kind of put it in comparison. So, and I bet you they still won't sell out those 2
It's
teams.
going to be small and intimate, but everyone's going to want to be there.
Because the Steinbrenner Field is where the Yankees have spring training at. So
yes.
Hence the name George M. Steinbrenner
So
Field.
it's going to be very similar to like a CHS experience to being at those fields. So I think half the people are going to scoff at it and say, I'm not going to go. It's lame. Others will say, I'm going to go just to say I did it. It's only going to be happening for one season, so let's be part of it. So
cheap entertainment. I'm sure the ticket prices won't be that much, but
it'll be
Frank Thomas is the only baseball player with over 10,000 plate appearances who never recorded a sacrifice bunt.
See, this is what's great about the internet. You find out these random things. This is what too much data does, Andy.
Yes, this is what, sitting on hold at work and you're farting around on your phone.
This is awesome. Too much data. So, yes.
LSU right now, national rankings. Number 1 in baseball, 2 in gymnastics, 4 in softball, 7 in men's golf, 7 in women's indoor track, 9 in women's tennis, 10 in women's basketball, 11 in beach volleyball, 13 in women's golf, 19 in women's swimming and diving, and 20 in men's swimming and diving. They're the only school to have a team ranked in the top 20 in all sports.
See, that is how, boy.
Yep.
And what is there? 300 schools at a Division I level for spring sports. There's over 300.
We'll get to that in a little bit, but yeah. Now you don't see the men's basketball team on there, so I did say every sport.
Okay.
All these sports listed, they're the only school ranked top 20 to all of them. So PWHL takeover in Detroit. So the takeovers got 2 different teams. Minnesota and New York played there in cities that don't have a PWHL team.
Okay.
Drew 14,288. U.S. attendance record broken again. These gals are just drawing them in. Turn them away at the door.
Excellent. That's good to see.
And I just saw as I was killing time here waiting for Dan to come on.
Whoa.
For the whole league since they started last year, they've drawn over 1 million fans in just short of 2 seasons. So congrats to them.
Wow.
All right. Ongoing league discussions for the 26-27 season in the NHL. NHL and NHLPA, which is the National Hockey League Players Association, are in discussions about a potential 84-game season and shortened preseason. Teams want more divisional and rivalry games, so kind of like what they used to have in baseball until they said everybody plays everybody. So they're going to get rid of this play everybody once thing. They want to get back to more divisional and rivalry games. With the great turnout this year of their All-Star format with the 4-country tournament there, removing the All-Star game is being discussed. But the 25-26 game All-Star game in New York likely won't be canceled since the league has announced All-Star plans and the Islanders are promoting it to season ticket holders. So next year could be the last All-Star game as we know it. And then they'll go to some other format like we had the 4 countries one this year or something to that effect. Or they'll skip it because of the Olympics, something to that effect,
Okay.
Here's your homework.
Okay.
Got your crayon and your tablet.
Got my tablet.
I put up this morning. What is the difference between the WBIT and the WNIT, Women's Basketball Invitational Tournament, and the Women's National Invitational Tournament? You may ask. Well, here we go. I will explain. And its start of the first ever WBIT tournament has been delignitized or just ripped on. Here's what happened. WBIT initially listed Miami as the number 1 seed.
Okay.
But the Hurricanes delegitimized. There we go.
Yes.
Delegitimized. So Miami was put in the number 1 seed, but the Hurricanes said, we're opting out of your tournament. This is like a step below the NIT tournament. So rather than move things around and readjusting the following Miami's decision, the WBIT simply replaced Miami's number 1 seed with James Madison, a team that had not been invited to the tournament in any capacity before Miami dropped out. So James Madison University has skyrocketed from no invitation to a number 1 seed, making a complete farce of the tournament layout.
Oh, my.
After all 68 teams in the NCAA tournament were revealed Sunday evening, women's basketball teams that did not qualify for March Madness will hope to earn an invitation to the one of 2 tournaments, the WBIT, Women's Basketball Invitational Tournament, which will invite 32 teams, and the WNIT, Women's National Invitational Tournament, will extend to 48 team bids. Now, So you said the NIT. Now they threw another 32-team bracket in. That's 148 teams between those three tournaments for women's basketball. There is 350 Division I women's basketball teams.
Okay.
Now, we on this show proudly promote women's sports. I think having this other tournament is an insult. It's a money grab. You're trying to grab on the popularity of the sport right now, but you know what? That means these schools have to fly their other team into it for a road game. It's like having another regular season game, kind of like the Mayo Bowl in college football. Not a fan. So you got 32 more teams that are playing here. They're gonna have to travel. Schools have to pay for hotels, this, that, and everything else. Just kind of shows you how much money they're making. If they could afford to do this, it might be all sponsorship money, who knows? But I don't know. Not a fan. If anything, you'd think the men would do it to jump all over because men's basketball is more popular. But the women are doing this. They got 148 teams involved out of 350. So just short of half, which is almost as laughable as we could say football. College football, almost half the teams make a bowl game.
Yeah.
So you don't have to be that good to make it. Kind of not impressed with it. I mean, I hope it's successful, don't get me wrong. But don't be confused when you see both. They are two separate tournaments.
So
because the news this morning, locally news said, neither Gopher team made either of the tournaments. Well, the women did get a WBIT invite. So,
all right, I got two things to say about this, Andy. I want to pick your brain. Number one, I saw this WBIT and I was on the internet and I was confused. I looked around, I saw the word invitational on it, and I assumed it was the NIT just rebranding. And so I moved on to something else. I didn't know this till just now that there's two tournaments.
Well, that's why we're here. We're here to educate, Dan.
Now, like you say, Andy, this is a program that pushes a lot of female women's sports.
Yep.
I haven't even heard an announcement or some kind of, grand opening or that they're doing this new thing, that it's in the talks, we could have been promoting or pushing this thing months ago. But it's
and also, like I said, when your number one seed says no, we don't want in, so you just grab some other team and make them the one seed. You don't shuffle people around. Now, which is the problem with these. They just throw teams in, and then they don't ask if they want to be in first of all. They just say, "Hey, you want to be in? You're the one seed." No.
Yeah, and at this point, most of the teams are going to be a little above 500, a little below 500, right at 500. It's going to be a mishmash where the seedings may not even matter for this, although you kind of have to do a seeding, I suppose. Right. But here's what I think, Andy, as this just came up, and this is just in my head 2 minutes ago, is because of the Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, all this stuff, Paige Beckers, women's basketball is blowing up. Do you think someone on the business side said, hey, let's, like you said, it's a money grab. Let's try something. Even if it fails after 2 or 3 years, we could make some decent coin on it. So this is what we did. Is this what it came up with, you think?
And if you look at it, it's going to be on like CBS Sports Network is going to televise it, or ESPN. It's going to be on your real low budget cable channels, which are probably buying into it to get ratings to their channel.
You're going to still need to hire officials and get these locations and set up the websites and all the streaming. And boy,
announcers, officials.
I don't want to be pessimistic, but I have a hard time thinking that this is going to be successful. The WNIT just got its feet under the ground where people are really doing that. There's people doing brackets for the girls.
They're respecting the
WNIT.
Yeah.
Finally has respect. And now this new BIT comes into place. So I can see both sides. I'm not a fan.
Yep.
Wow.
Wish it well, but don't watch it. Don't expect us to follow it here.
Wow.
And now the soapbox. That was more education for you to learn up, homework, look into those two tournaments more. Give me your opinion if you're a fan of the WBIT or not. Soapbox, and kind of leading off this, West Virginia has declined their invitation to get the tournaments much like last year. saying, no, we don't want to be in your NIT. We think the last 2 years we've proven to be in the big tournament. If you don't want us in the big one, we don't want in.
Okay.
Now, this is all tournament-based, the soapbox. There's a few screens here. South Alabama got a call from the NCAA inviting them to the NIT at 9:30 p.m. last night because UC Riverside was locked out of the CBI. They were told they were in. They were 100% in. The NCAA called back an hour later and said, sorry, never mind. After the head coach had gone and called all the players, said they're in the NIT. Oh, sorry, never mind.
And this is just with the men's without having 3 tournaments. They just have the 2 and they can't get the communication straight.
And here's how the selection committee went. You've all seen the stories how the head or the head at North Carolina has also been on the selection committee. And he got a big bonus for his team making it. The teams in yellow on this chart, for those of you on the YouTube, were conference champions. So your 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16 seeds were all conference champions. But they were in what they call the lower conferences, where they don't think they matter.
Okay.
North Carolina was the last team in that wasn't a conference champion. VCU and Drake were conference champions. They were just above them. And that's 11 seeds. Gonzaga 8. Everybody else above that was a conference champ. So North Carolina snuck in. There was teams that had better records than them that make it. But, funny, North Carolina's head of academics there, I believe, or whatever his position was.
Athletic director.
Yep. He was on the committee there, head of the committee. And so he let his own team in somehow is what they're all saying. Now, yes, you want college basketball minds in there, but, okay, here's 68 teams. You got 48 or the NIT. You're going to take the teams from schools that, aren't that good to decide your brackets, because I don't want anyone having a horse in the race. Sorry, someone's going to have a horse in the race.
So Andy, here's a question.
Yep.
I've always thought of this 64-team bracket as, why don't you just make it easy? When the regular season's done, you have your AP, USA Today coaches poll come out. Pick one of those that's not subjective, that you can just pick and choose, but it is what it is. Here's the final bracket. Here's the top 64. Seed them how you want, but if you're in the top 64, you make the tournament. If you're not, you don't. And then there's no guessing. There's no second guessing. Now that's me doing things in a perfect world, so to say. It's easy. Now they're doing it this way, and they always have been. And it's tough because, like you said, the North Carolina athletic director is on the committee. Now, in the press conference, he went out of his way to say, remember, I'm not in the room when they decide things. They make those decisions without me, so they can't say that I was pressing them to get my team in so I get a bonus. That's not the case. Now, I'm sure there's still something of that goes on. Right. But what he did indicate is that they took 2 or 3 more new metrics this year on statistics, and they used those for these tiebreaker things. And that's how teams get in, and that's how teams get out, kind of a strength of schedule, how they do against certain teams. And so they're pushing all these metrics, and maybe that's how it happens. But it seems to be overly confusing, if you ask me, as far as, couldn't you just pick the top 64 and just be done with it?
And here's my opinion. Auburn did not win there as another number 1 seed overall. So how about you take this? You got how many 30-some conference champions? There's your first 36 seeds.
Now, it would be granted, football where a conference.
Alabama State would not deserve to be a number 7 seed, but you know what? You won your conference. I saw, was it SEC has 14 teams in there. The Big 10 has 8. Big 12 have 7. Big East have 5. So that's what 12. That's 34 of your 68 teams. That's half right there in 4 conferences.
Yeah, it's the power.
Like the Big 10 has 20 teams.
It's the Power 5, like in football.
Yep.
You have, let's have a college bowl. Okay, let's have the top 4, so no one will be angry. Well, you have that for 10 years, and then people don't like it because my team's number 5 or 6, and now I'm on the outside looking in, so I'm angry. Okay, They'll expand it to 12 this year in football. And guess who was complaining? The teams that were 13 and 14, they're complaining. So our point that we've said on this show previously, even if they expand the football playoffs to 64, there's going to have people arguing that are mad because they didn't make it. Look at basketball.
Yep.
It's such a pissing contest of who's in and who's not and who's angry and who's upset. You're never going to get it. You're never going to fix it. So why not just make it easy, make the top 64 teams in the final coaches poll and be done with it, invite the rest to the NIT, because you're overthinking it now with all these committees and all these metrics.
Yeah.
People are still upset. The good thing, Andy, the good thing is this: the brackets are set. So if you don't like it now, your team has a chance to really make waves. If you're the number one seed and you're Auburn and you lose the first round game, you are going to be the laughing stock.
Now you look at the brackets there, the conference champions. There's 6 11 seeds because it's the 11 against 16 or whatever for the play-in games all the time.
Yep.
So you take those 2 out, you got all those other teams in there then. What? So you got what? 45. So you got 30-some teams there that are we'll use the term bottom feeder, like we've said before, the non-big schools, whatever. You know, your High Point, your Yales, your Omahas that won their conferences or in the tournament. Okay, make that your NIT. And just have 46 or 44 or 42 teams in the big tournament. You make it 64. Yes, there's been upsets. Yes, there's been George Washington a couple years ago, the 11 seed, made it through to the Final Four. You get those stories every now and then. Are you still getting the 4 best teams in the playoffs at the end? No, you got the 4 hottest teams at the end.
I like your suggestion there. That'd be awesome.
You get the 4 hottest teams at the end. You know, look at, we've said it in baseball, you got to be what? 3 games above 500, you're world champions in the playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah, we could solve all the world's problems here tonight, Andy, but there's just some things you're never going to win, and a lot of these topics are that.
We're just checking off. Clemson says all 32 NFL teams were at today's pro day. Steelers' Mike Tomlin was the lone head coach. NASCAR reps are also there looking for jackmen, fuelmen, and alike. Landon Walker, Sheridan Jones were among those who have transitioned into the racing crew work. Like we've said before, there's a lot of ex-football players who are now pit crew guys because they blew a knee, blew a shoulder, something like that. They still like that adrenaline of working, that adrenaline of the sports on a Sunday. A lot of these linemen and crew guys work out together.
Yeah, this is a great informational piece. I love it.
So NASCAR guys are going to go into these things to get it. So good luck to everybody involved there. Mark Gastineau. New York Jets legend Mark Gastineau is suing ESPN for $25 million after they posted a video of his altercation with Brett Favre. Gastineau claims that ESPN caused irreparable damage to his reputation and that he has been attacked on social media for it. Okay, Mark, you made yourself look like an idiot when you did that. You were kind of an idiot before. And now you're just looking for another cash grab. Oh, I need $25 million. You hurt my reputation. Okay, I want to know. I'd love to look back. You always use athletes or entertainers or stars or celebrities. I want to know what his net worth was before that clip came out.
Okay.
I guarantee his net worth was not $25 million.
Correct. Oh,
correct. If his net worth was 3, then sue for 3 because maybe you lost all your stroke. I'll give you that. You were not at a $25 million net value. I guarantee you. I'll bet the farm and all the animals. So, yes,
okay.
You have a little point, but you went and made a statement to Favre at a public event. Unless you've been under a rock the last 20 years, there's always a camera on you, Mr. Celebrity wannabe, washed up celebrity. There's always a camera on you to make a fool of yourself. Someone's putting it out there. If you're a celebrity and you fart at a restaurant, don't say, excuse me, you're going viral the next day.
Yeah, and they have to know this. Everything you do. Now, this, to me, the Gastineau confrontation with Favre looks like it was set up and filmed on purpose to go viral, to just really make Favre look bad. It failed. It made him look bad. Now he's suing.
Yep.
Who knows what the cluster is with all of this. But, yes, you're going to be on camera. And, yes, you're going to look bad.
And one more thing. I think you got a lot of information on the stand.
What?
We are proud to announce, ta-da, locally here, we've adopted a stretch of highway here because we are the fastest growing podcast in all of Western Carver County. So why not just have someone be ours?
Yeah, the family's growing, like the post says. We've adopted. We're going to be part of a team of a 2-mile stretch to clean up part of the highway there in Western Carver County, and we'll do our part for that. And that's it. So more information will be following up here on this. But we're kind of new at this. We've been in the business here for 5.5 years, and so we're starting to do some new things. We got the logo. We got the logo set.
We're giving back to our community.
Giving back. We're going to clean the ditches and whatnot. So that'll be part of it. Look for that coming up soon here. Next month in April will be the first time we got to clean the ditches. We'll be looking for fun-time volunteers and whatnot to help do that. But we will make it worth your time, right, Andy?
Yes.
Now, Andy, Twins news.
Yes.
Twins news. There's 2 things I'm going to mention. One you're going to be aware of already. The other one you might not be. Matt Cantorino, the Twins pitcher, 2nd-round draft pick back in 2020, I think.
Yep.
A highly sought-after starting pitcher, pick number 2. Went in the minors, got hurt. Went to the minors, played, moved up, got hurt. Still in the minors, moved up. One of the top prospects to be named a prospect got hurt. Finally had the entire year off last year. Thought he was going to be a spot in the Saints, maybe as high as AAA. The Twins had him pegged to make his big league debut sometime this year. Hurt again. Shoulder surgery. Right shoulder surgery was done yesterday. He's out for the entire year. So I think I haven't done my Twins bonus. It's going to be this later this week or next week, but I do a projection from all 270 players in the organization. And this is a guy that, in my mind, you are not going to recover from. Physically, can you recover? Yes. But with new cats coming in every year, you're so far behind. You're not going to make the team. They're probably going to cut him, and he might go on as someone else and join up. But I don't think your window of making a pro baseball team is now never going to happen. You could play some independent ball. He's probably a very good pitcher, but you've had way too many strikes against you with these injuries, serious injuries. And it's not his fault. I'm not blaming him, but it's tough to recover from one ACL. Royce Lewis did it with 2. Now he's my second guy. Now he got hurt again with a hamstring. Now the Twins are lucky, so to say, because of the depth. Part of the problems the Twins have is they have too much infield. Now, where are you going to put Jose Miranda? Well, Royce Lewis got hurt. Miranda now can be your everyday third baseman until he gets better. And now you already have Ty France at first base. You can now play around with that DH position rather than having someone sit every day, having too many DHs. So I'm a big Miranda fan, and I think that'll be good to get him in every day. But
this way you don't have to rush Royce Lewis back either. He can take his time. Make sure you're 105% and come back.
He's a star. Yes, his star power is huge. He can hit. He can do anything he wants. He's a clutch guy. He's a stud. But Miranda is not too far off of that caliber. So there's people out there really angry, really messed up, really upset because of Royce Lewis hurt once again. I don't think it's that big of a drop-off. If you can get Miranda playing every day, the guy is a stud and was going to be used at first base as a platoon or maybe DH. He's not really going to have a home. It makes it easier for Baldelli to put a lineup together with Royce Lewis being out for, and I think it's going to be a couple of weeks, a month. I don't know.
To showcase these guys in case later on we need some trade bait.
Yes. And there could be trade bait. And yes, we love Royce Lewis. He can do a lot, but he's injury prone. There's nothing he can do. He's one of the most physical specimens there are for athletes as far as taking care of yourself. I don't know how these things happen, but they do. So he's the second guy, Royce. I think he'll come back and do just fine, but I think Cantorino, from an opinion, I hope he gets back and does, but he's going to be out of the picture. There's just no room to take another full year off and try to make it to the big leagues.
The thing that hurts Cantorino's comeback is the rule changes in the last few years, where you got to pitch to 3 guys, because he could come back and be like a 1-out guy, or you could be our very short setup guy type of thing.
So, and he was a starter. So I think starting is going to be out of the question. So he may have to reinvent himself as a reliever, or like Andy says, a short reliever, a situational guy. And then maybe that could work, but that takes a toll.
Or depending on what kind of athlete he was, can he become a second baseman or an outfielder?
That, yes, is also
what kind of athlete he was. I hate to say that pitchers aren't athletes, but
you do see that happen as well.
Number 2, they give him a shot, A-ball going, hey, we're paying you this much. Try to play short for a while. Try to play left field, see what happens.
Good point.
You never know. Never say never.
Hopefully he'll come back, and we're wishing him the best on there. I just don't, as personal as my opinion, don't see him coming back to the Twins as a big league club ever. I don't see him ever even getting the chance, because there's too many prospects coming up, and you're going to get beat with the draft every year and the new people coming in and everything else. That's all I've got for baseball. Twins.
Answer.
Oh, wait, one last thing, Andy. Okay. I think you'll find this interesting. You talked about Tampa Bay Rays playing outdoors at Steinbrenner Stadium this year because the Rays indoor facility was damaged. The first team to play there is going to be the Colorado Rockies. They opened the season against Tampa Bay, and they're playing at George Steinbrenner Stadium. So they're going to get the first kind of feel for what it's like. Colorado plays in the Cactus League, but the Twins have one final game on their spring training schedule for exhibition before they break camp, and they're having Colorado come to them in an exhibition game. So it's a rare chance. It wasn't something just added. It was on the schedule all along, but it's a Cactus League team against a Grapefruit League team, which is very interesting to see. Colorado's going to break camp with their team, so they're not going to be carrying 60 guys for spring training. This is going to be a fun game to watch.
I think looking ahead, kind of the whole travel thing, you knew they're going to start their season in Tampa anyway. Let's get 3 time zones over, be there for a day, get ready for it, be adjusted to the time zone. So that could have been part of the deal anyway. So that, and maybe that's happened before, and we've never noticed it because the Twins or Mets weren't involved in it. So we never paid attention.
And I thought of that too. Maybe that's happened before, and maybe they try to do that with teams coming over into whether they play Miami or any team in Florida there and get another game in coming from the Cactus League. But the Twins, I think, only have 6 games left of the Grapefruit League, and I think 7 games left total. And one of those is against technically a Cactus League team, which you'd never see in spring training. The Twins would never play the Rockies ever in spring training.
Well,
so
look at when the Metrodome
I'm interested in that.
When the Metrodome opened, they always played one preseason game in the Dome. The very first game in the Dome was against the Reds. Which are a Cactus League team.
So they did. I think they did. In the Metrodome was 82. They had 2 games against the Phillies, I think, because it was Pete Rose was there.
Pete Rose, the Phillies, which is Cactus League.
But, so anyway, it's fun stuff to see. We'll get the Tokyo or the Japan series. We'll see those games kick off 5 a.m. And then you'll see this, which will be like a true regular season game. Twins will have all their cuts announced by then. Yep. Colorado coming over is not going to bring their whole team. It's going to be the 26 guys is going to be playing one kind of a freebie exhibition game. So
maybe 30 guys just in case for pitching.
There might be some extra guys. But it'll be almost close to a real deal. And like you said, you're getting the time zone caught up. You're already in town anyway. You got to play the Rays. So look for that. I think that's interesting. Back to trivia. We have an answer. NCAA moved to 64-team format for the men's basketball tournament. In what year?
I was in early high school when it happened. Junior high to high school age. 86.
So what year do you think it kind of made the big switch? Close. The answer was 85. 1985, they moved to the new format. And I know that, we followed being the same age. The Gophers were in it that one year with Randy Brewer and those guys. It was, I think, 82 or 83. Yep. And then 84 was the last year of the normal formats when I started following it. And then 85, it took the nation by storm. It was one of those business, what's it called? Not a business model, but a format genius that has been, whoever decided on this, I'd like to shake their hand because this is one of the best tournaments of all time. A
And that's why so many people
64-team
rip on
basketball.
they rip on UCLA winning all those titles because it was only 32 teams or 16 teams then. Still, don't hate the player. They hate the game, so they didn't have to go through 64 or through the more rounds. It was a shorter tournament. They still won it. They can't help it.
Stuff. Yeah, it's good stuff. UCLA did very well. You can't look at the haters, can't focus on the haters. They actually won it. And this tournament, with all the stress involved with the games, the timing, the weekends, the late games, the early games, single elimination, all these are stressful games. It's elimination. Every game's an elimination game is what I love.
I think UCLA would have still marched through the whole field and still won those tournaments. There were good enough teams. I think they still would have won it. 2, you look at the Big Ten. Now, I'm trying not to get my soapbox. The way they set up the teams, yes, they tried to S-bracket it. They say they don't favor it, but funny, they're like the number 1 seed Duke. They're going to play somewhere in North Carolina that first round. Funny. How come Oregon's playing in the East? How come Maryland's in the West?
Oregon's in Seattle.
Yeah, I'm not making excuses, but let's try to save out. That just shows you how much money this league, and I say league, it's colleges, how much they got to spend. Yeah. We'll fly you out there for 2 days, 3 days, and then fly you back. And then a week later, fly you out there again and fly you back. Have it more regional based.
It's not a true regional. Regions are just now all there are as for hosting.
Yeah, before it's all for finances,
to keep the teams, taking buses and everything else to get to them closer is what, and I still think it should be a regional setup, but money comes into play, Andy. Money's king, cash is king, and NCAA is big time when it comes to this. This is a big game, like college football. It's big money involved. Yep. That's all we got for the sports. Next week, we'll talk about the boys state high school and the completion of the first round of the NCAA.
See ya.
See ya.